To the January 28th meeting of the Fayette County Board of Elections. It's just a couple of minutes after 5, and at this time I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Okay. I guess I need to second so that I can have a discussion. So I'll second that motion, and by way of discussion, I'd like to add an item under new business, which is direction for the staff to initiate the process of the possibility of amending our polling locations, a polling location consolidation, if that makes sense. Would you accept that amendment to your motion?
I will, yes.
I will second the amendment. Any further discussion?
You just said start the process?
Yes, ma'am.
Start working on it? Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So under new business, item B will be the polling location process. Having said that, next item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone? Okay. Well, in that case, we have no one has signed up, so we'll move on to the next order of business, which is new business. First item is the Municipal Intergovernmental Agreement Review. And today, we're just reviewing and asking any questions of the staff if we have any, and they will then go to the cities for their approval, come back to us for our February meeting for our signatures, and then go on to the county commissioners. So any questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I just have one question. I was told, I think, a few months ago that Tyrone did not have any municipal election this year. Do you know, I mean, have you checked that with Dee or?
What year? 2020?
This year, 2025, that we didn't have anything coming up for municipal election.
I have been in exchange with them, and it is my understanding that they do have an election come up, I believe, for
Okay.
one chair, but don't quote me on that.
All right?
Yeah.
Just wanted to bring it.
All municipalities in Fayette County will be having elections this year. I don't think there are any that don't have odd year elections for their municipal races.
Don't they have to have somebody running for an office?
Well, we won't know that until qualifying opens in August.
Okay. All right.
If it turns out that no one qualifies, or that only one person qualifies for a particular race, then it's possible to not have an election.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, very good. We've all had a chance to review the intergovernmental agreements ahead of time, and staff, as well as I, had a chance to work with the county administrator as well as finance to just go over the process. So it'll now go on to the cities and towns for their approval. Next item on the agenda is the item that we added, and it is for staff to initiate the process of the possibility of consolidating some polling locations. So that does not amend our precincts, but we have some polling locations that may need to change, must change, and so upwards of a year and a half ago, staff worked with Secretary of State to initiate this process, and then it, with all of the elections of 2024, got slowed down. So what I'd like to do is get board approval to have staff initiate the process to come up with a rationale of what we need, as far as what may need to change or, and so develop the rationale and also a plan for our review. So, and I would make that in the form of a motion for the board to authorize staff to do that.
Second.
Discussion?
Could you elaborate just a little bit more? You said this started a year and a half ago, that y'all were talking with the Secretary of State?
Yes, Brian Hill was still the director. This goes back to 2023, during the last municipal cycle. And Director Hill at that time had at least worked with Secretary of State's office to come up with a plan of, and I believe it was high teens, 19 or 17, a couple of different plans that never ended up coming before the board, or for that matter, for the public. It was something that had been initiated, at least to look into, and that's where it stopped. And for where we are now, we continue to struggle, especially with Braylon Elementary and the security concerns that we all have. With that, we have the building that we use in Tyrone that may or may not be available going forward. So we have that, and so we have a couple of venues that have expressed, at least are rumored to have expressed concern about going forward, and so we may need to look at alternative venues. The big problem is the Braylon Elementary precinct. There are no other structures available within that precinct. We went through this a year ago, struggled through it, met with everyone from the school superintendent, the principal. We toured the facility. We hold the one church, the AME church, and their board was not in favor of authorizing our use, and that is literally the only structure within the confines of that precinct. So if we want to address the underlying security issues for the elementary school, then we need to look outside. And if we're going to do one, we probably should at least, or two, probably should look at the whole plan.
And I think you used the term, maybe I just dreamt it. Did you use the term consolidation? Meaning, is that something different than, like with Braylon, we have nowhere to go, let's put, within the precinct. If we were to consider, or if they were to consider, moving where those people vote, a different location, it would have, let's say it has to be outside of the precinct. What is that called? Is that called a consolidation, or is that?
Well,
What's
when I
that
use the term consolidation, that's the possibility of combining two precincts at one venue. So
In
there
the
would
same-
still be two poll managers, there would still be two complete voting precincts at one physical structure. So it would not be necessarily a cost savings in staff, because we would still have to staff each precinct. And then we get into the timing. If we move a polling location outside the precinct, if we move it within the precinct, we have a, correct me if I'm wrong, 60-day requirement. And then
Sounds
if it's
right.
outside the precinct, it's 90-day
Yes.
prior. So our timing is to get it initiated now so that we have it done and we can advise if we need to make a change, that we have plenty of time to get the public informed. And then our mandated timing would be essentially August. which would be the 90-day prior, early August. Or October, November, yeah. So,
if we were to consider moving, or, no, I'm not using the right terms. If we were to consider closing the location at Braylon Elementary and having those people, that precinct, let's say, for example, let's say that they would now move to Oak Grove, okay, which has that big gym, and so we would have the same, like you said, we would have the same number of people. It's just that the people who would vote before at Braylon would go to Oak Grove.
yes.
The problem with that, I'm sure, is voters may have a fit or something like that, but it would resolve that security problem, I believe, right? Is that called a consolidation, or what's that called?
Well,
A move?
I don't think there's an official word for it.
Yeah.
We're just going to call it that.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Director Garrett, do we have any precincts that currently host, that are any polling places that currently host more than one precinct?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but they're still in two separate places in the building, so that's definitely on my radar. And if it helps any, in my proposal, I'll make sure to include some numbers and a map so that it's a clear vision of what it is that we're trying to do or recommend.
I think that the two that we have where it didn't pose as much of a problem is, I want to say it was just like, it's like a street. I believe one of them, the precinct, it was a precinct move, basically. And I think that all they were doing was moving across the street from where their precinct was, I think. That's the two that are voting in the same place. They're at Evergreen. So, I'm all for that.
okay,
let's
so we have a motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor of staff initiating the process, I'm not going to restate it, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business. Next item on the agenda is the voter challenge policy review.
If I may, I know we've tabled this a number of times, but we're again without a full board. So I don't know if you want to just table this again, just to give all three of you an opportunity to weigh in on it.
I don't think there's been any direction that's come out of, state election board or anything like that. And there's been no movement on it, I don't think. So I would say, Zach's not here, but I think we just postpone it to the next meeting.
And there is at least one case pending where someone has filed suit over voter challenges. I think DeKalb County has one that's going on right now. I'm not saying that's going to get resolved anytime soon, but, that could have some impact on what we end up doing.
Okay. Do we need to make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, we just table to a date certain. I would recommend your next meeting, and we'll just
Okay. So I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we table the voter challenge policy review until the February meeting of the Board of Elections.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 8th regular meeting minutes, the regular board meeting minutes.
Wait, is it the regular one, or are we going to do the special call, or does it matter?
Well,
They're on the agenda with
it's
the-
on the
Oh,
agenda
sorry,
as the
regular. Okay.
first one on the agenda is the regular meeting.
Okay, great. Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 8th special called meeting minutes. And that was the special meeting that was mandated by the State Election Board as far as reviewing documentation from the election of November 5th.
Mr. Chair, I move that we make a
Approve.
motion that we accept the minutes of the special call meeting.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing on staff's recommendation to remove registered Fayette County voters who have passed away, who are deceased and registered as such with the Secretary of State.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the director's report for deceased.
And second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing on staff's recommendation to remove registered Fayette County voters who have been listed with the Secretary of State as felons.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the report, cancel voters felons.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is actually staff's recommendation on the removal of mentally incompetent, and we have none this month. So we'll move on to item D on the public hearing, which is staff's recommendation to remove registered Fayette County voters who have been canceled, and that's canceled through the normal process of staff's work, as far as people have moved, notified, et cetera. Duplicates have been removed. So,
May I,
Of
when a
course.
word I have discussion, I want to ask a question. So may I do that now on this report?
yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Help me again. I constantly have a problem understanding. Staff can make all these changes on their own, and they just send it to Secretary of State. Is that correct?
All of what changes?
Duplicates that they find or that are reported,
So-
people who have moved.
Yes, so it comes in the database on the Jarvis desktop, and then to notify us that there is a duplicate or they've canceled their voter registration, or they can come into the office and cancel it through DDS, et cetera. So yes, does that answer your question?
Okay, so it's both.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, what happens, I notice that duplicates, I understand, moved out of state, I understand that can come both ways. What about if somebody moves out of county? Is that considered the same as moved out of state?
No, it's considered a transfer, and you wouldn't have to remove those because they're transferring to another county.
But how is it reported here? Because we have to remove them from our roll, don't we?
We transfer, so I wouldn't use the word remove,
Okay,
but we would transfer their database, their voter registration file next door or to whatever county it is that they moved to.
okay, so it's not canceled, okay.
Correct.
All right. And when it says, which one said Eric? One of them said Eric, I think.
It's probably notated on the cancellation.
Okay, and that just means it came from
The federal,
federal?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Eric is federal. Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this report on canceled voters.
Second, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the director's report. Director Garrett, please.
Greetings, Board. As of January 26, 2025, there were 103,327 registered voters in Fayette County. In the back of your director's report is not attached, but you have a post-election poll worker survey that we conducted to kind of get feedback on where we are with our poll workers. So maybe in your own time later, if you would like to look over that, that would be great. I just want to kind of keep you updated with where we are with what's the word? Can't use the word vibe, but just the temperature of our poll workers as we progress to new training. The Secretary of State, they're going to host an elections training for election officials on April 28th through the 30th. We're still waiting on direction for that. However, the administrative staff should be planning to attend that training, and that'll just be in Paulding County. Also, in
Who all
your
goes to that training?
so it's only for in-house staff, and that'll be myself, Chief Registrar Daniels, and Election Supervisor Johnson.
Okay.
They have a limit on how many can come. And then also, in your director's report, you have a board meeting schedule. I guess my question would be for Attorney Stowe, is there any action that needs to take place for this schedule here? I don't believe there is, but I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. 'Cause it's,
I would like to have a motion to approve the schedule since it's not, we do have some Friday dates in there. It used to be we would consider those special called meetings, but if you want to make those, I think last year we started treating them as regular meetings. And the only way to do that is to adopt it as a schedule ahead of time. So if you want to do that, I would suggest that you do take a vote now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll bring that up after the director finishes her report.
that concludes my director's report. But just for the schedule, everything is still the fourth Tuesday with the exception of those elections where we combine the certification and the actual regular meeting together.
Okay. So in that case, I'll make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation on the board meeting schedule for the remainder of 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and that will be our schedule pending any emergency changes. Next item on the agenda is attorney's report.
Well, I do have one small thing. 2 years ago, well, I guess it was in 2022, after the Republican primary for the Secretary of State's office, an individual named Garland Favorito filed a lawsuit against all of the county boards of elections and election superintendents, contesting the Secretary of State's election for the Republican primary. That suit was brought in Spalding County, and it's kind of just been languishing. No judge has been assigned because Spalding County is in the same judicial circuit as Fayette County, and all of our judges recused themselves. So we've been waiting on an assignment of a judge to handle that, and that actually happened a couple weeks ago. So I would expect that action will move forward shortly to deal with that case. I expect it'll be dismissed. I mean, the election has already been held for the general election for this race, and he's been in office for over 2 years now. I'm just letting you know because it is something that you were named as a party to by the lawsuit, so.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Next item on the agenda is board member reports. Ms. Charlene,
Yep.
it's up to you.
Actually, no, I'm glad we're talking about the precincts because that seems to be what I hear the most about are the precincts and concerns about that. So I'm glad that we're starting to work on that. The only other thing is, and you know, we have at some point probably want to discuss the new poll workers system. And I think I asked you if you thought it, now that we've only had less than a year, but that it had some, bumpy roads there on implementation, but pretty much you're happy with that. Were there any modules that we did not add to, what's it called, Easy Vote?
Yes.
That might be good to take a look at?
I don't believe so at this time. I know you mentioned being able to process payroll, and I haven't seen the compatibility of being able to do that. But outside of that, I don't believe so. So they're still training. So they completed, I believe, 2 classes, 3 out of 4 or 5. So there's still 2 more. They just wanted to get the basics to get it up and running. The most important thing was putting all that poll worker information into one database.
Sure.
That everyone can share and have access to.
Sure. Okay, great. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. Really, the only thing I'd like to say is that it's really nice that we have a break after a very long and hectic 2024. We actually have some time to review training programs and just the whole processes that we have in place and verify what we have is good, and if we need to make changes, that we can. So it's just, it's nice to have a little time for everybody to get caught up and review how we do things. That's all I have. Motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. We actually don't need a second
That's
for an
right.
adjournment.
You're right. That's right. Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.